Well, hello there. Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media Channel. This is your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And today we got a pretty exciting review for you. We are talking about Hard Boiled on 4K from Shout Factory as part of their new Hong Kong Cinema Classics line. This is number 17 in that line, and I think this is the first singular, at least. I know they've done box sets like Jet Li box set, and there's the Better Tomorrow trilogy that came out the same day as this, I believe, or it's coming out next week. I can't quite remember. There's been other box sets. For a single movie, though, to get the hard box treatment, that's kind of new, at least for Shout Factory in this Hong Kong Cinema Classics line. And this is quality, guys. This is like we'll get into it when we get into the unboxing, but this is pretty quality. First off, guys, I do want to apologize. I may sound a little funky right now because I'm coming off of a cold. I feel decent, but I've got a little stuff in my throat still. So I'm going to try to get through this the best I can. I've got water, coffee next to me. So I may be doing some cuts throughout, but I got to talk about Hard Boiled because I just watched this yesterday. I was very sick yesterday, just laying on the couch, just enjoying movies, as we do. Sometimes when you get sick, guys, it's nice to just have an excuse to lay on the couch all day and watch films. And that's what I did. One of them was Hard Boiled, and I was like, I got to talk about this as soon as possible. Sickness be damned. Now, I know there's a lot going around about this movie and the price from Shout Factory, which is $49.99 currently on Amazon. And I think it's on Groove right now, I believe, for about the same price. It was on Diabolic and Orbit for a little bit cheaper for about $46.99, but Diabolic did come out recently and say they only got a fourth of their stock in from Shout Factory, and I think they're the only ones that came out and said it. I think they might be the only ones at this point. For some reason, Shout Factory decided to short them. So if you got yours from Diabolic, you may have to wait a little bit longer to get yours, which definitely sucks. But I got mine from Amazon, and to my surprise, they actually shipped this to me a day early. I got this on Monday. If you look at the fronts right here, like I'm not somebody that dwells too much on a little damage, but it does suck because right here up top, you can see there are some imperfections. There are some dents and stuff, some wear and tear at the top right there. And that sucks because it's the fronts. Like if it was the back, maybe, but I don't know. I'm just kind of lazy. I don't feel like returning this really. And at the end of the day, like it's still, the 4K still plays, all the features still play, the movie's still the movie. It's fine. But let's get into talking about the movie first, guys. Oh, like, comment, subscribe, do all that cool YouTube stuff. Hype the video. I rarely ever tell you guys to hype the video. Hype the video, okay? I don't even know what that means, but just there's a hype thing down there. Just press it for me. I would appreciate that as well. But we're going to talk about the movie, then we're going to talk about the 4K. We're going to do the unboxing, features, sound, all that good stuff. But I'd never seen Hard Boiled. Now, I grew up a huge fan of John Woo's 90s action films. Like Broken Arrow is literally not just one of my favorite action films, one of my favorite movies. I probably watched that movie at least 50 to 60 times when I was a kid. I loved Broken Arrow for some reason. I just went back and rewatched it over and over again. Face Off, of course, is a classic. I watch that all the time as well. Hard Target was a more recent classic that I discovered in the last 5 years, but I love that movie. I've seen it like 5 times since I first watched it. And then, of course, like Mission Impossible 2, like he did all kinds of great stuff that I enjoyed when I was a kid. I had not experienced a lot of his earlier like Hong Kong stuff or any of his earlier Hong Kong stuff. This one was kind of the bridge between like his early Hong Kong work and his new work, because after this movie, this came out in 1992, he would go on to work on Hard Target with Van Damme and then transition into the more Hollywood director that we knew of John Woo in the 90s. But he has tons of these like old school Hong Kong movies from the 80s that Shout Factory is putting out on 4K. We've got the Better Tomorrow trilogy. The Killer is coming soon in December as well. They just announced, what was that? Once a Thief, I think, for 4K, and then a Bullet to the Head they're also doing in 4K. So they're pretty much wiping out all the John Woo filmography, putting it out on 4K. And I'm definitely here for it because after watching this movie, I will say this, like the story's pretty basic, and it kind of follows. Look, here's the thing. This kind of started that like undercover cop kind of thing, detective, because you got Chow Yun-fat in this movie. He's more like the hard-nosed cop. Then you got the undercover detective. Chow Yun-fat doesn't know at first that he's an undercover detective, so they're kind of like discovering each other as the movie goes along. And they're both trying to take down this like Hong Kong crime lord. And they don't really get onto the same page until about halfway through. Very reminiscent of Martin Scorsese's The Departed, but there's a reason for that, and that's because this movie kind of kicked that off. And then you got Infernal Affairs a few years later, which was a Hong Kong film, and that's what Martin Scorsese's The Departed is based off of. So I don't want to say it's style over substance, because I think the story's pretty good. Like, it's a good story, but it just, like, with character development, story, like, that's not really what you're watching Hard Boiled for. You're watching it for the breakneck, like, just mile a minute action set piece moments, because that's what this movie is. It's a series of action sequences just kind of strung together in this 2-hour narrative. And the entire, like, third act of the movie in the hospital with the babies, it's like, when I first saw this cover, right here with Chow Yun Fat holding the baby, I'm like, what is this movie? This is kind of goofy looking. But, like, in the context of the film itself, like, once you watch it, you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And it's really kind of badass. Everything that happens in the third act is incredible, but the opening sequence of the shootout with Chow Yun Fat, like, sliding down the rails of the stairs, like, shooting the guns. There's so much, like, fantastic gunplay in this movie. I love the movie. I love the movie. Again, it's not, I don't love it for the story. The story's okay. It's fine. Didn't blow my mind. I've definitely seen more intricate, police cop dramas, action films before. But the movie's like is action. Like, it's in your face action, mile a minute. Chow Yun Fat, this the other cop, I don't know his name off the top of my head. Just kicking ass, taking names, tons of gun sequences, tons of explosions. Like, when you get to the end, like, explosions in a freaking hospital, like, kind of inappropriate, but explosions in a hospital in the children's ward with a bunch of babies. Like, it's really incredible. It's over the top as hell. It is so freaking John Woo. It's not even funny. Like, when you're watching the movie, it's like, oh, I remember this. Like there's certain action points in this film that I'm like, oh, I remember that from Hard Target, or he did that same thing in Face Off, or he did that. Like, you can just tell, like, he pulled a lot of his stuff, from this movie, especially like Hard Target. Like, this acts as like the direct bridge to Hard Target. So there's action sequences in Hard Target that I can definitely see and, like, trace back to this movie. So I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was a ton of fun, and it's definitely one I'm going to revisit very often. And I just love John Woo. I love the way he directs. I love his style. I truly think he's one of, if not the best action director of the 90s for sure. Like, he's up there. Like, he has to be up there. But yeah, really, really fantastic film that I enjoyed quite a bit. Let's get into the 4K though, because I don't have any past editions. I don't know what this was put out on before, on Blu-ray. I will say, I think this 4K is the only way you can get this edition. I don't think that Shout Factory did a Blu-ray of any kind. Well, actually, I've got this tab right here. Let me pull this up. Vividity Visual Entertainment put this out. There's only a used Blu-ray right now, guys, for 56 bucks. So this is out of print on Blu-ray. So Shout Factory is basically putting this one back in print with this release. So even if you get the 4K at 50 bucks, it's still going to be cheaper than getting the out of print Blu-ray to own this movie. Now, I'm sure there's other options, overseas options and things like that, but the 4K here, guys, having no reference point. There is a Blu-ray in this, but it's a Blu-ray with the new 4K scan. I thought the 4K looked really good. It looks solid. To me, like, this movie, I don't want to say, like, it has kind of an ugly aesthetic. Like, some of the colors, like, it's not a movie that really pops. It is kind of dark and dingy. It's, like, kind of set in this underbelly of Hong Kong. Like, even the opening sequence in the tea house, like, it's just very, like, the colors are very kind of pukey greens and yellows, just very, very ugly kind of aesthetic, ugly lighting in this film. And I don't know what the budget to this movie was. I think actually it was like 29 million, but that was Hong Kong money, so I'm not exactly sure how that translates to American. But I thought it was a very good 4K. The detail was definitely there, and I'm sure this movie looks the best that it ever has. I just don't have that past Blu-ray to really reference. There are some spots in the film that I thought looked a little rough and not, like, fully restored, but I'm sure there's reasons for that. I'm sure they were operating on a semi-low budget. So I think this is probably the best that Shout Factory could have done. I mean, Shout Factory, Screen Factory has done incredible work in 4K before. I just can't say, I struggled to say that I was completely just, like, blown away by this 4K. I thought it was a really solid 4K. I thought it looked really great, had some incredible detail. And when those explosions and, like, big action set piece moments, like, come into play in the third act of the movie, especially, Like, all that stuff looks fantastic. All of it looks fantastic. I just couldn't help but feel like, I don't know, maybe it was the HDR and the Dolby Vision just kind of bringing those kind of uglier colors to the forefront. There was just something that kind of felt like it was holding this 4K back for me, just personally. I didn't feel like it truly shined like some of the other ones that I see from this like early 90s, 80s time period. But really thought the 4K was good. I'm sure it's the best it's ever looked. I'm sure it looks fantastic. Like, if you've watched this on DVD so many times, VHS, Blu-ray, like, I'm sure you're going to be blown away by this picture quality. Again, just incredible detail. I think that Shout Factor did a really good job on the 4K here. And it was a new 4K restoration. I'm pretty sure it was also approved by the director, John Woo, because he was pretty heavily involved in this. I think there's a new commentary with him, and then there's, of course, the new interview, which we'll talk about here in a second. Now, getting into the audio here, you have a Cantonese DTS HD Master Audio, which I watched it in Cantonese. I did not watch it in dubbed. I do not like watching Asian cinema dub. Like, I gotta watch it with subtitles on. It just doesn't sound natural. Then you've got, let's see, Cantonese DTS HD Master Audio Mono. Then you got the English DTS HD Master Audio Mono as well. I don't know like what their limitations were. I think this movie definitely could have benefited from like a Dolby Atmos upgrade. Like, there's so many like big action spectacle set piece moments like all throughout this film. I think it could have definitely benefited from it, but for whatever reason, they decided to go with the Ode Audio, and I thought the Ode Audio was fine. I thought everything sounded great. Now, getting into the packaging, look at this, guys. This is a nice premium release. This is a hard box, guys. Like, really hard. It's very glossy as well. The artwork on it is fantastic. I love it. So you got Chow Yun-fat there with the shotgun, and then you flip it to the back, and you can see all those special features right there, which is pretty cool. You got the specs down there at the bottom. Then you take it out of the hard box, and like I said, guys, very good quality. Very good quality on this hard box. I mean, it's durable. Like, I kind of compare this to the Creep Show set that came out. Even the Halloween 4Ks, like, they had their own hard box as well. This is like a thicker cardboard than that. Like, this is pretty legit as far as like a hard box release. Then on the inside, you got the 4K case with that original poster art. You flip it to the back, you got all the features again, the synopsis, all the information on the film. You open it up. You do have the 4K disc. Then you have also got the Blu-ray with some special features on it. Or, no, I think the Blu-ray just has the audio commentary, and then they have a disc that's dedicated to just special features, which has all the new special features on it. And then, oh, so no reversible, so you don't have that original, or you don't have that newly commissioned artwork that's on the cover to reverse it, which is kind of disappointing. And then you got a nice booklet on the inside. Like, you don't really get this a lot, from Shout Factory, the booklet treatment, but you do have information on the restoration on here as well on the inside, kind of like what Arrow Video does. But then just a bunch of essays, written essays on this movie on the inside. I think there's like 4 or 5 essays, and then images and all that stuff, just writings on the film, the impact of the movie. Really great stuff, though, to dig into if you're a big hard-boiled fan. But let's get into the special features, guys, because this is where you're going to get the value for this release. And this is where that $50 price point is going to start to feel a lot more worth it, because you look at what some of the studios are doing, and you got Sony and Disney charging like 40, 42 bucks for a new Steelbook, no new special features. If you think about it in terms of like the value that you're getting here for these new features, and there is a lot to dig into here. So you got a couple of new audio commentaries. You got one with John Woo and film journalist Drew Taylor. You got a new audio commentary with film historian Frank DeJean. And then you got some past audio commentaries as well. So that's on the 4K and the Blu-ray. And then on disc 3, you got all these new special features, including new Violent Night interview with John Woo. This is like a 42-minute long interview with John Woo. And he's talking about Hard Boiled, but he's talking about his career as a whole. And I think he's got a lot of interviews on some of the other Woo stuff as well, which is pretty cool. And then you got interview with Terrence Chang. You got interview with screenwriter Gordon Chan. You got Boiled to Perfection, interview with screenwriter Chung Hang Koo. And then you got new Body Count Blues, interview with composer Michael Gibbs. You got new Hong Kong Confidential. And this was actually a really cool interview, because this is a horror author, I think, Grady Hendrix. He's done a lot of horror novels. I can't think of his novels off the top of my head. But he did a kind of retrospective on this film, Inside Hard Boiled, with author Grady Hendrix. Apparently, like, he's a huge Hong Kong fan. I think he's got features on other releases as well. But he just really dives into this film and the historical significance of it, and like John Woo's career as a whole. And it's a really good feature with him. And then you got another author, Leon Hunt, who does a interview and feature here. Then you got Chewing the Fat, interview with academic Lin Fing. So yeah, there's a lot deleted and extended scenes, trailers, image gallery. There are 9 new special features here, and they're probably totaling at least 3 hours. 3 hours of brand new special features here, plus the booklet in here, plus it's a 3-disc set as well. You get the 4K, you get the Blu-ray. That is really going to make or break like the value for you with this set. Now, there's going to be some people it's like $50 to get all this extra material with Hard Boiled on 4K, like totally worth it. I'm there. It doesn't matter. They could have charged 70 or 80, which some boutiques are doing, guys. Some boutiques are doing that. And I would have got it. Then there's others that look at that $50 price point and they just see upgrade to 4K. Maybe you already got it on Blu-ray. Maybe you got it on DVD. You're happy with your DVD. And they're going to say, no way. No way am I paying 50. I'm not giving into these price points, which I totally get it. It's all in like what you're willing to spend. And hopefully at some point, even with all the shakeups going on with Shout Factory right now, they will do some kind of like dumbed down version that's a little bit cheaper, maybe just a standard case for like 35 or maybe even 30, or it goes on sale on groove.com at some point in one of their future sales. Hopefully it will go down in price at some point. But I mean, honestly, like, I don't know. It's tough. It really is, because you got other labels like putting out nice box sets and they're like 45. Like Vinegar Syndrome does a lot of nice box sets. I mean, Second Sight, honestly, like they do bigger booklets, but their box sets are about 50, 55. So I feel like this is kind of in line with some of the other labels and their more premium editions, but also this feels more like an Arrow Video style edition and not as big as those editions. And they usually run like 35 to 40. So I'm a little bit conflicted. I mean, on one hand, like there is a lot of extra stuff to dig into here. It really just comes down to like, what do you value in your releases, and is it worth it to you to get this film back in print, back in your collection on 4K for the very first time with tons of new extras, which it doesn't seem like, looking at the archival stuff, they've ever really given this film the time of day in terms of extras until now. So I think it's a really cool release. I do think $50 a little bit too pricey for this particular edition. I would like to see it at like 40, 45, but it's still kind of in line with other labels at this time. So it's a little bit pricey at the end of the day, but I do think that Shout Factory did a lot here to make you feel the value of this release. So I think that's a good thing. I will link it down below in the description if you guys are interested in getting this, but thank you all so much for watching my review of Hard Boiled on 4K. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.